Hey everybody, welcome back to our CubCrafters FX3 all-electric camping build. We're progressing really well. Now, as you remember, if you're following along on this build, there's a few components that are really critical that we needed to make for this plane or have made. So we just finished the carbon fiber raised floor. We're gonna go ahead and take some time in this, show you the floor, why we did what we did, how it works, and all the great features and functions of this. And especially, everybody thinks it takes so long to get this in and out and change the plane over from two-seater to a camping build. Well, it doesn't. Let's get started. Okay, everybody, so we already tested the floor strength-wise and weight and all that kind of stuff, and it's way beyond what we actually need. And we're getting ready to load in some of the equipment and show you how all this works. The floor here comes all the way up to the side of the seat and goes all the way back to the midsection where the MOLLE panel and the supports are in the airplane. And it gives us the ability to raise up the floor so we can put some stuff up in the top here from the front side and slide things under the bottom from the back side. So all the camping gear and stuff you see here, we close those up and we're able to push it right up inside here. And then you'll see here in a minute when we pull the floor out that we have a cover on the stick and the legs here on the outside on the longerons, and allows us to put a lot of weight and stuff here where a passenger would normally sit. So the heavier stuff we have here is, of course, is our Yoshino battery system, the lithium system, not lithium ion. Go watch the video on this. This is the lithium. This is a solid state, lithium cobalt. Totally different technology, much lighter than lithium ion, more powerful, will work in much lower temperatures and much higher temperatures. Then we have our ICECO cooler here. This is all aluminum. It's like aircraft aluminum, very light, and doesn't take a lot of wattage and things to run this. And this runs off of our battery, and they also have their own, but it's lithium ion. We have our Born sleeping system here, which is awesome. Go check that out. And then we're going to be putting our Zarges cases inside here where that's all our food storage is really in there. So anyway, this floor allows us to put this heavier stuff and stuff I want to be able to get access to all the time up here on the top of the riser. We're going to show you guys how easy it is to transform this from this camping over to just having the seat here again. The seat's right up top here. I'm going to go ahead and throw all the equipment inside the plane, and then we're going to pull it in. We'll pull the floor out and show you how we made it. So we're going to pull this out. It really doesn't take a lot of time to do it, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about how this actually works when you're flying in the plane. So as I said, got the coffee system here, water's in here, brewing, fresh beans, everything right here. So as I'm flying, if I'm on a long cross country or whatever, I can actually make coffee right here from the seat. So that's why that's sitting here, which is nice. And the floor has this nice little tray that comes up beside the pilot. So you got a tray on both sides that you can put other stuff. We're thinking we're going to turn this into a cup holder as well, but we already have one up front here. The other thing that's nice about this is it's set up in a way that you could put some other stuff right here underneath the tray. So you got room for longer things here underneath the tray. And it's nice because everything's guarded. There's nothing in a way that can jam any pedals or anything like that. Everything's forward and there's a guard here. So works out really well. So let me go ahead and pull this whole thing out and show you how it looks. Okay, so with everything else, this gives you a good view of what the whole thing looks like. It opens up this whole area where you would have a second passenger in the cargo area. Now it becomes this big giant floor. By the way, awesome for your dogs. Just think about it. How many dogs are down inside there or can't look up? I have a big German Shepherd, and this is perfect for him. I drop his bed right here. I put him in it, and this is the ideal dog bed in a CubCrafters aircraft. Now, before I pull it out, I just want to let you know, this is attached underneath. So the existing seatbelt system and the straps for the front of the seat that goes here is up underneath this and is holding this whole thing down. So all we do is undo the seatbelt, undo the two straps, takes a second, and then the floor is free and we can pull it out. That's good because this becomes our mounting brackets for other stuff we have on it that we can tie it down so nothing can be flying around the cabin. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. That's it, the floor's out. It literally took about 15-20 seconds besides, you know, unbuckling the seatbelt. But you can see under here how this stuff usually sits inside underneath here in the plane. And you can see you've got all this other area where people's feet would normally be that we can put stuff. And the legs for the raised floor are out on the outside, right along the longeron, so all this stuff can fit underneath. So we wanted to give you a little bit of a cross-section look of how this works, what it looks like, and show you how we made it. But you can see how all the stuff slides underneath here, and then you can see the legs now. And we changed the legs so that they were points, and we wanted to spread that weight out along the longeron. So you'll see us talk a little bit more about that. But these are printed on our Prusa 3D printer. These are carbon fiber infused PP. So really hard legs, really light, and these basically go underneath here. And then you'll also see the only aluminum here is we got 1x1 aluminum bars that go across each leg here. We tested this, stood on it, put tons of weight on it. There's not enough we could load in the plane to actually break this. So now that you see it out of the airplane and how it works, and you understand why we built this, we're gonna go back 2 weeks and show you how we made this, starting with the mold, because this is just a prototype. The prototype's working really well. We know what tweaks we're gonna make, so on the next mold, we're gonna go ahead and change that out. Let's go back a couple weeks and show you how we made it. We're gonna use this sheet of melamine, and it's a good sheet to use because it's nice and smooth and stuff like that. We're gonna transfer these dimensions that we created in the CAD onto this and then cut out this shape. So what you can see here is we've got the shape of the back of it where the cooler is and the batteries. Underneath of the legs, the front seat is here. So basically we're gonna create the base out of this, and then this here, these plastic sheets are gonna be the edge of this form. So we're only creating a positive form for this, and then we're gonna wet lay the carbon fiber into this positive form as if it's a one-time piece. If it all looks right, if it all fits well and everything that we like it, we'll come back to this positive and we'll create a negative and create a real mold out of it. So then if any of you guys want one of these, you can just call us and we can actually make you one of these carbon fiber platforms. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna get this all transferred. All these dimensions get transferred on here. We'll get it cut out, sand it up. We'll start getting the edge on it. And then we're gonna use some modeling clay and put some modeling clay down on the edges here so we have this nice, smooth, rounded inside edge. We're gonna be using our woodpecker's tools. These are awesome, especially if you're a woodworker. They have just great tools. And I wanna tell you, this whole project, nobody's paid us to talk about any of their stuff. This is just our experience and the things we've used over the years in this whole project. So just wanted to share that with you. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So we got this all laid out with the grease pen. You can see right here is the back of the seat. So the front seat kind of goes in and out a little bit. This is the back. These areas here are gonna be, we're hoping, a little cubby where we can put either cup holders, or if you wanna just drop your phone or some stuff, you can kind of drop it right in there. So this is the back of the front seat. And then this is where the rest of the panel will be. And now that we did it with grease pen and we got it all laid up, now we're gonna transfer that over to a Sharpie and then go ahead and cut it out. So we've got the platform piece cut out. This is the main piece that'll be the base for laying our carbon fiber. Now, what we're gonna do is we have these plastic pieces that we're gonna mold around the outside, but we don't want it down flush like this because it's not enough of a lip. We wanna have a lip here. So we have some spacers, aluminum 1/4" spacers, and then we'll put the plastic edging this high, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna have the first level of carbon fiber, then we're gonna use some honeycomb to give it strength. So the honeycomb is gonna go in here, and then 3 more layers of carbon fiber that'll be the base for this. So this first layer will be the cosmetic layer, then we've got the honeycomb, and then a few more layers of carbon fiber. So we wanna have a little lip on the edge all the way around here, so stuff doesn't slide off and things like that. Next step with our heat gun and this plastic molding and our nail gun, we're gonna go ahead and get this edge put all around the outside here. So So we got to the point where this is all framed up nice. We've got it tacked all throughout. What I also did is I CA glued underneath here for a couple of reasons. Is, you know, this is plastic and these are just brad nails that are going in, so it can't come off easy. So I wanted to also glue it and get that really good and secured. Now I'm probably also going to lay a layer of resin down this and then on the board itself. The reason is the board is pretty porous. I don't want the resin and the carbon fiber to get into that board because it'll be impossible to pop it up. You can see these holes here. If I leave those open and then we put the carbon fiber on here, the resin will get in those holes. It'll be impossible to pop the carbon fiber piece off once it's dry. So we're going to fill all these holes with resin. We're going to fill the board and that'll kind of make a nice smooth surface right there. And then this edge will also give us the ability to, when we lay the carbon fiber down, we'll probably cut along here too, just so the edge of the carbon fiber when it's finished will be just like this white strip here. And then taking this modeling clay and getting it all down inside the cracks here to do a couple things. One, to make sure that the resin can't get down inside there, but more importantly is to shape it. I want the carbon fiber to have a little bit of a chamfer in it, like a rounded edge here as it comes up before we fold it over. So we have like regular modeling clay here that would just squeeze into the surface or the crack here. Then we're taking a paint stirrer to get the major portion off. So you can see here, we're just going to take the paint stirrer, push it against there, and it kind of brings that paste off there. Then we're going to take a popsicle stick and just use the round edge of the popsicle stick to shape nice rounded edge. And then we just keep going all the way around. All right, so we have the positive all ready to go. We just got to clean it up, polish it up a little bit. We chamfered over the inside edges here and got that ready with modeling clay. Next, we're going to put the resin on the outside here like I talked about. This is pretty much ready. It's got to be, of course, waxed, and we got to put some PVA on it and all that before we wet lay the carbon fiber in. The carbon fiber is all cut so that it's got a little bit of an edge all the way around because it's going to go over the sides here and then. Now, key thing about the carbon fiber going over the sides, what you can see here is we had to prepare this mold with some modeling clay. And the modeling clay goes down and around just like that. Because what we don't want to have happen is that the carbon fiber comes around here and then latches underneath these rails that are here, and then you can't get the mold off. So we had to get a way for that to release that. The carbon fiber is going to come over the top here, go around the outside, and we'll cut it off a little bit. This is our mold. We're just making a positive mold here. We're not doing the positive to create the negative and then lay the carbon fiber into the negative. This is the prototype we're building right now. So for the prototype, we're just going to use this as our mold. The reason I tell you that is because normally the first layer would be your finish layer. In this case, the last layer is going to be our finish layer. The layer on top is going to be our actual finish layer. It makes it a little bit more work when we're finished to actually finish this up and get it nice and shiny and stuff, because we're going to put some peel ply on here and it makes it really dull and stuff. So after we get all the peel ply off it and we get the part off of the mold, now we got to go to work sanding it down and get a couple more layers resin on there. Now this is the prototype piece that we have. This is the leg. These legs get mounted underneath here. That's why these holes are here. So they're going to get mounted. We get 10 inches that this will come off the floor. And these are going to be going right where the longerons are in the floor of the aircraft. So there'll be 6 of these underneath here. And this is fit perfectly for the back of the Cub. We have honeycomb that's going to go after the first layer, going to really make this thick. What we're doing is we have aircraft aluminum pieces, 1/4 inch, that match the height of the honeycomb. These are going to go where the holes are that go through to the leg. And then the honeycomb will be going around it. If we didn't and we had these holes there, the vacuum bagging would crush the honeycomb and you'd get kind of a little bit of a weird situation here. The other reason is we don't want to just have a honeycomb and then the screw going through the honeycomb, because then when you tighten down through the top of it, it'll just crush the honeycomb. That way there, when the bolt hits here and pulls tight, it's not going to crush the piece. We want the honeycomb and the second layer, the strongness, to stop here. So we put some wood on the edges here that's also 1/4 inch, so the honeycomb can come up to the wood, and then it gets a little bit of a lip here down into this that goes up beside the seat. You know, if you spill a little water or something like that here or whatever, it'll hold it in this place, but also stuff won't slide back. If you have a pencil or something here, it won't work its way back and then end up at the back of the tray when you're flying. So we wanted to have this little inset inside here. We put the modeling clay on this side of it to give it a little bit of a chamfer, because this will be finished. and then the back side is just where the honeycomb is going to butt up against it, just like this. Then we have some mold release tape that we're going to put over the top of these before we put our first coat of resin down. We're going to have a little bit of PVA tape here, and I'm going to put some duct tape on the back side of these holes. The reason being is when we pull a vacuum, I don't want it to suck all the resin or any material or any carbon fiber down into these holes. Okay, so now we're going to get the mold ready to start to do our wet lay. Now, there are a few things I have to do. One is I'm going to wax the whole thing 4 or 5 times. Then I'm going to put some mold release tape on these holes, and there's some duct tape on the backside. Then once we lay our first layer of carbon fiber, we're going to find these holes again, put these spacers on top of the carbon fiber, and then poke these popsicle sticks down through this tape that's on here. And then what that's going to do is help us find these spots on where these spacers have to go, and then keep them in place. So that when we lay our next layer on it, those will be all in place, ready to go. When we're finished with the whole project, all we have to do is drill up from the inside, and it'll drill out popsicle sticks because it's just wood. I'm also going to put some mold release tape on a couple of areas that I might be concerned that the resin might grab. Like an example is here is where our little stop is. I want to make sure that the resin doesn't grab these pieces and some other areas. All right, guys, so we got the first layer of carbon fiber down there. We got our honeycomb baked in here. We put the inserts down in here where they need to go. Now this batch has a little bit different. It's called fumed silica in this one. And it's just a little bit to make this a little bit harder because we just want to coat the top of this, and I don't want the resin to go down into the honeycomb and make this too hard or too heavy. So got a little silica in here, and then we're going to just lightly coat the top of this and get our next layer of carbon fiber on. All right, so we got the vacuum going. We put 2 layers. First, we put the peel ply down, and then the peel ply is going to give it kind of like a matte finish, going to make it all nice and even and things. Then above that, we did 2 layers of breather on top of the peel ply. Then I did another layer of the perforated sheet on top of those 2 layers, and then on the last layer is another breather sheet. So the first 2 layers act as kind of a sponge to let all the resin suck up into the first 2 layers. Then you've got the perforated sheet, which has holes in it, and it's going to allow the air to come through the sheet. And you'll start to see little dots here with all the resin coming up from the actual mold. And then on top is a breather sheet that goes from here where the valve is across the top of everything that allows the air to flow through and pull. So the vacuum's pulling, it's pulling so good that we're even seeing the little popsicle sticks that are holding those pieces in place. It pulled it down even that far. We got a much better lip here than I thought we were going to have, so it's pulling good there. All of the front areas beside the seat have that nice ridge here, so that's pulling pretty good. So we're going to let this go about 8 hours to 10 hours, and then we're going to let it cure for a solid 24 hours, and then we'll open it up. So we just took the vacuum off this. We let it cure for 24 hours. So we're going to go ahead, pop this bag open, and see how we did. All right, so we got the peel ply off, we got the bagging material off and the breather off, and fortunately the shape is perfect. It's exactly the shape that we want. We've got some nice chamfers on the inside, couple small items. Well, you see these points here, those are supposed to be there. So you see these little abnormalities because that's where the hole's going to be. So this is the popsicle stick in there. We're going to be drilling from the bottom up and creating the hole there that the legs get mounted to. So you should have those there. Got a little bit of an issue right here, got a little bit of a spot we're probably going to fill up a little bit. but all the shaping is pretty good. But when we start sanding it and things, all this stuff will go away. You can kind of see the 2x2 twill look that's going to be there. So once we get this all polished and sanded, this is the look we're going to have. You can see here what I told you about, that the carbon fiber was going to wrap around the piece a little bit, which is why we put that modeling clay in there. I'm not going to cut this yet because remember we had the white piece here that is making our kind of lift. Right up below that, we're going to be cutting with a Dremel, and then that'll make this release really easy. I don't want to do that yet because what I want to do is drill up through the holes we created here that come up through the aluminum pieces that are inserted into the honeycomb. You know, like over here, you can't even see them. So it would have been hard to find those holes to drill through. So I want it to be perfect of where we put those aluminum spacers in the honeycomb. So we're not going to cut the sides off or try to pull this off yet until we drill these 6 holes for the legs. So everybody, that was a little bit of work getting that out, but as you can see, and I think this should be right around 1.2 pounds. The legs will be sitting in here like this. We got to polish this all up. We'll be able to slide stuff up underneath here and give us 12 inches of space underneath here so we can get more weight forward. We're going to sand the edges a little bit more, seal this up, sand it, and start to make it look pretty. We need to have 6 legs, and these legs we need them to be 10 inches because we want the top of the tray to be 11 inches, and there's a 1-inch brace, aluminum brace that goes across this tray so that it can hold the weight. We're going to take this wood, we're going to round over the edges, get it sanded and get it ready because we're going to make an actual mold from this that we can lay the carbon fiber into. We're going to put some resin on it so that the materials to make the mold with don't sink into the wood and we can separate it pretty easy. And then we will have a mold ready to go to start laying the carbon fiber onto. I'm going to get this started right now. You'll see that I purposely have one flat side. I didn't round over any of the edges because basically this is going to get glued, hot melt down to our mold. And then we'll have to take some modeling clay and get it all around the edges because then when we put all of our material on it, we don't want it to seep underneath and ruin the mold. So this will actually be what the legs look like, except they'll be open on one side and carbon fiber around 3 sides. This will be the soft side that's down on the carpet. This will be the flat side that is up on the beams that go underneath there. First thing we're going to do is we're going to double stick tape this down. We're going to take some molding clay, go around the outside edge here, seal up the edges so that the mold material can't get under there, because remember that's going to be the negative that we lay the carbon fiber into. So we got some, basically a tooling gel coat. So it's a gel coat that's going to go all over this, and we're going to only do half and half. So do half the first time, we got to wait an hour for it to get tacky, do a second coat, and then we're going to move on to putting a base and stuff on here that then when we're done, we pull this wood out of it, and then that is the mold. Okay, next thing I'm doing is I'm laying down some mold release wax. So this is Partle, paste number 2. So I'm putting it on not only the piece, but I'm putting it on all the way outside here. It just helps to get a release going when we're going to take the mold off. Got to get all the nooks and crannies, especially down in the edge. Then I'm just buffing it off. We let it dry for a few minutes and then do 4 coats like this. And then after the 4 coats, we're going to go to a PVA, a mold release agent. So that'll get laid on top of that once this wax is dried. And then we're going to go ahead and get our gel coat on top of it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we got this epoxy paste. Basically, this is a material that has the fiberglass in it. You can see that all in there. And we're going to mix it up with the hardener, and then we're going to put it all around this mold. And then I might put a couple bases on there. That way there, when we go to turn it over and we're making carbon fiber pieces, it'll be a good base and stuff. We'll see when I get to that point. Now remember, you want to do this when the second coat of gel coat here, your base is still tacky. All right, so the first layer I kind of tap in, make sure it's really down in the corners really well, because when we're making molds, that's got to be supported good. We let this cure overnight, and as you can hear, it's hard. It's like a piece of concrete. So what we got to do is just kind of get under the gel coat with some shims and kind of work ourselves around. We don't want to just rip it off. That just isn't going to work. Sometimes I'll give it little taps here and there and see if I can get under there. Once I get it started, I can put some of these shims in. Yep, there's the pop. All right, here's the underside. Now we're gonna have to get this modeling clay out of here. Gonna just peel this out of here and then figure out how we're gonna get that piece of wood out. All right, so we're at the point where we got the wood out of here, which is the positive to make this negative, and it was a bear to get out. We had all kinds of issues with it. What I ended up doing is just router out the middle of it to relieve the pressure to be able to work the wood out of the mold. Now we're gonna have to do a little bit of work, got a little marks here and there, so we're gonna sand it all down, make it nice and smooth, and get it to a point where it'll be a mold. Good to go on here. So we get that cleaned out, and then we're gonna put a little mold release wax. So we're gonna wax this up about 5 times. Usually I create the bag, I'll pull these two sides off, create the bag, and then slide the part in. But what I'm gonna do for you guys is we're gonna actually leave it like this. We'll get the piece in here when it's ready to go, and then we'll peel the tape and seal it up. You always wanna get this stuff ready before you start doing your wet lay. Once we get all the layers in, then this is the peel ply. So this peel ply is gonna go on above all the wet lay. Then we go to our perforated layer that'll go on here to help the air come through. This goes to our breather layer, which helps the air be able to flow through the bag as we're pulling the vacuum, and then we'll get our vacuum holes in. I got all my pieces cut, ready to go. I'm gonna now use my gravity feed sprayer, put some PVA. I'm gonna spray a couple coats of PVA on this. This mold really needs it because of the way it's down in there and kind of almost gotta bend it to get it out. So the more PVA I can get in there, the better. So I'm gonna get going on that. I'm gonna spray this, let this dry. While it's drying, I'm gonna go mix up my resin and get ready to start doing the wet lay on this. Pull a little bit like this so that it can suck down all inside there and suck that part against the wall. So now you can see the holes of the breather and how it's pulling the resin out of the part. All that extra resin is coming out into this breather cloth here. Okay, so we're gonna let that run for about 6 hours while it's curing. Then we'll let it sit overnight and then we'll pull it out. When we put our mold braces in here, this won't move at all. But without those braces, you do get quite a bit of flex. So this is what the 3D printed pieces look like. We're gonna shave these off and clean them up, but they're just spacers that give this some dimension. So as you can see, like I said, these slip inside the mold here. So they go inside the mold like this, and then that gives us these ridges to wrap the carbon fiber around. These are really strong. Gonna cut this up and wash off the peel ply. Now that you've seen the prototype made, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you a little bit about some of the other things that we're doing here and some of the other ancillary things that go along with this. Like number one is these clips. Now these clips we also made on our Prusa printer. These are carbon fiber infused PP. And these clips give us the ability to put these all around the whole panel, just like that. And now these are tie downs. So we can have tie downs wherever we want. We can slide them around, we can put them in different places, and then tie down any of the stuff that we have on here, nets or whatever it may be. You're also probably gonna see the videos on our MOLLE panel. If you see in here, we've got 2 gallons of water. We've got our diesel fuel here for the diesel heater. Go check out the cooling and heating and power for our tent and things like that. So all the MOLLE systems in here, as well as a lot of our other camping equipment in the back here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe. If you guys like this content, you want us to go in deeper on how we're building, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.